Hi, my name is Kendall, and I'm going to argue that due to the importance of language and culture, Catalonia does have the right to independence. So first, I'm going to start with a little rundown on modern Spanish history. So in 1931, Spain became a republic, and they granted an autonomous regional government to Catalonia called the Generalitat. I hope I'm saying that right. And then from 1936 to 1939, there was a Spanish Civil War, which ended with Francisco Franco establishing a dictatorship. And then from 1939 until his death in 1975, there was oppression for the Catalan people, where their culture and language were oppressed along with their autonomy. And then after he died in 1975, his successor granted a statute of autonomy, and the Catalan language became a joint official language in the region along with Spanish. And so last year, on October 1st, 2017, Catalonia had an illegal referendum where they voted to become an independent republic. And 2.3 million people voted, and 80% of those Catalans voted for independence instead of staying a part of Spain. But during that referendum, they were interrupted by the Spanish police, who caused violence and attacked or tried to break up the referendum. And they took political prisoners who have been in custody for a year. But these people were only arrested for fighting what they believe in. And the Spanish officials are treating the referendum as a rebellion, but the rest of Europe doesn't agree with that. And according to the Spanish criminal code, organizing a referendum or declaring independence is not a crime as long as it's peaceful. Before their new criminal code that they established in 1995, there was an Article 214 that said, those who rise publicly for any of the following purposes are guilty of rebellion, followed by a list of points. And point 5 expressly states that declare the independence of a part of a national territory. So since that article was abolished in 1995, it's no longer a crime to declare independence. The separatists themselves were peaceful, but the police were the ones who violently broke up the referendum. In addition to that, Spain recognizes the right to self-determination in several international treaties, but they don't recognize it within their own country. They believe that the unity of state is more important than human rights and democracy, because with Catalonia being a part of Spain, their human rights and their right to have their own culture and language is being oppressed by the Spanish people. And self-determination itself is the right for a nation of people to determine their own state and govern themselves, forming alliances, etc. And in Woodrow Wilson's 14 points after World War I, he listed self-determination as one of the goals for peace, and that led to the creation of like the Balkan states, because there were just so many large countries that encompassed so many different nations, and these nations graded against each other because they didn't share the same culture. And then the same thing kind of happened after World War II, which created Yugoslavia, but then Yugoslavia was also a bunch of nations that broke apart, and that became Kosovo, Greece, Albania, Macedonia, all of those countries, and now they each had their own nation or their own state to govern. And plus, isn't this also what we fought our own revolution for? So that we could have our own government and we wouldn't be oppressed by the English. So the Declaration of Independence itself says that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute a new government. So by saying that Catalonia doesn't have a right to create their own government, it's going against our own beliefs as a nation. And constructivism is all about how language and culture are the foundation of all global interactions. So if we're crushing one language and culture, then that's affecting the outcome of everything else that happens in the world. So Catalonia should have the right to, at the very least, vote for independence without Spain interrupting, without blocking their own democratic vote.